Picture this. You've been investing for a while now, maybe a year, maybe two. You're doing everything right. You're consistent. You're not touching it. You're adding money every single month. But when you log into your brokerage account and look at the number, it feels like nothing is happening. The growth feels invisible, and a small voice in the back of your head starts wondering if this is even worth it. If that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this. You are not doing anything wrong. You are just not at the threshold yet, because there is a specific number where everything changes, where the math stops feeling theoretical and starts feeling almost unfair in your favor. Most people talk about $100,000 like it's the magic milestone. But here's what they're missing. The real turning point, the one that actually matters for most investors, happens way earlier. It happens at $25,000. And once you understand why, the way you see your portfolio will never be the same. My name is Leo, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, investing psychology, and why some people seem to build wealth almost effortlessly while others stay stuck feeling like they're running on a treadmill. If you want to understand the real mechanics behind wealth building, not just the surface level stuff, hit that subscribe button. This is exactly what we talk about here. Now, before we get into the math, I want to address something that most people in the personal finance space completely ignore, and that's the psychology of early investing. When you're between $0 and $10,000 saved and invested, every gain feels tiny. A 10% return on $5,000 is $500, which is nice, but it doesn't feel like it's moving the needle. So what happens? People get discouraged, they slow down their contributions, they start questioning the whole thing, and some of them quit entirely right before the compounding starts to kick in. This is the cruelest part of the investing journey. The early stages are the hardest psychologically, even though they're the most important mechanically. You are building the foundation that everything else sits on, but because the numbers look small, it doesn't feel that way. Here's the thing that changes at $25,000. It's not just a bigger number. It's a completely different relationship between your contributions and your returns. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's talk about the actual math, because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you're investing $500 a month and earning an average annual return of 8%. That's a realistic long-term figure for a diversified index fund portfolio. Nothing exotic, nothing complicated. At $5,000 invested, your portfolio generates roughly $400 in returns over a full year. You contributed $6,000 in new money that year. Your contributions are doing about 94% of the work. Your money is barely helping. At $15,000 invested, your portfolio generates around $1,200 in annual returns. You still contributed $6,000. Your money is doing more, but you're still carrying most of the weight yourself. Now watch what happens at $25,000. At $25,000 invested, your portfolio generates roughly $2,000 in returns in a single year. You're still contributing the same $6,000. But now your invested money is producing the equivalent of more than 3 months of your contributions completely automatically, without you doing anything. Without you working an extra shift or picking up a side hustle or making any sacrifice at all. That $2,000 didn't require your time, it didn't require your energy, it just showed up because your money was working on your behalf. And here's where the acceleration really starts. That $2,000 in returns gets added to your balance. Now you have $27,000 working for you instead of $25,000, which means next year your returns are slightly higher, which gets added to a slightly higher balance, which generates slightly higher returns again. This is the compounding flywheel, and $25,000 is the point where most people can actually feel it starting to spin. But here's something that the math alone doesn't capture, something that happens to you as a person when you cross this threshold. When you have $25,000 invested, you stop thinking like someone who is trying to save money. You start thinking like someone who owns assets. And that identity shift changes every financial decision you make going forward. Suddenly, you start doing math you never did before. You look at a $200 unnecessary expense, and you don't just see $200 gone. You see $200 that could have been added to an account that's already generating returns on autopilot. The opportunity cost becomes real and visible in a way it just wasn't before. You also start paying attention differently. Market dips stop feeling terrifying and start feeling interesting, because you understand that when the market drops 10%, Your $25,000 portfolio just went on sale, and every contribution you make at lower prices will generate higher returns when it recovers. You've crossed from fearful bystander to participant, and maybe most importantly, you develop an unshakable sense that this is working. That quiet confidence doesn't come from reading about compound interest in a book. It comes from watching your account generate thousands of dollars in a year that you didn't have to earn with your own hands. Once you've experienced that, you cannot be talked out of investing. The skepticism disappears, the discipline becomes easy because the proof is sitting right there in your account. Now, let me show you what happens after $25,000, because this is where the math becomes almost hard to believe. Going from $0 to $25,000, investing $500 a month at 8% takes roughly 42 months. 3.5 years of consistent contributions, consistent discipline, and returns that feel small. That's the hardest stretch of the entire journey. Going from $25,000 to $50,000 takes only about 31 months. Same contributions, same return rate, 11 months faster, because your money is now doing a meaningful share of the work. From $50,000 to $100,000, a doubling of your portfolio takes roughly 46 months. But here's the thing, you're doubling $50,000. That's $50,000 in new wealth created in less time than it took you to build the first $25,000. And once you're at $100,000, your portfolio is generating around $8,000 a year on its own. That's $667 a month appearing in your account. More than your monthly contribution, just from the money you already have invested. You did the same amount of work. You showed up the same way. But the machine you built is now running faster than you are. I want you to picture two people. Both of them start investing at 28 years old. Both of them put in $500 a month. The first person gets discouraged at $12,000. The returns feel invisible. Life gets expensive, and they tell themselves they'll start again when things calm down. They stop for 3 years. Then they restart. They're not a bad person. They just didn't know what they were walking away from. The second person hits $12,000, feels the same discouragement, but understands that $25,000 is the threshold. So they stay in, they keep the contributions going, they reach $25,000 in month 42 and start to feel the flywheel. They never stop again. By age 55, the first person has a respectable portfolio. The second person has a life-changing one. Not because they earned more, not because they took wild risks, but because they understood that the most important moment in investing is the one where it feels like nothing is happening, and they kept going anyway. So here's what I want you to take away from this. The investing journey is not a straight line where every month feels equally rewarding. The early stages are slow and quiet and easy to abandon. But $25,000 is the tipping point. It's where your money starts doing work that you can actually see and feel. Where your returns stop being a footnote and start becoming a real contributor to your wealth. Where you stop feeling like someone who is trying to become an investor and start feeling like one. If you're below $25,000 right now, you are not behind. You are in the hardest part of the climb, the part that sorts out the people who get there from the people who almost did. Stay in, keep contributing. The flywheel is closer than it feels. And if you're already past $25,000, now you know why things are about to get interesting. If this helped you see your portfolio differently, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of people who actually understand how wealth gets built, not just people who hope it works out. I'll see you in the next one.